Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day to our beloved madam. So our group will be presenting about the offense of theft under the Malaysia Penal Code. So the first one is our introduction. So the nature and extent of theft under Malaysian law is section 378 of the Penal Code, which specifies that whoever intended to take dishonestly any movable property out of the possession of any person without that person's consent move that property in order to such taking is said to commit theft. So there are 5 elements of theft. The first one is intention to take the property dishonestly. So we have to refer to section 24 and section 33 of the Penal Code, and we also can be referred based on the case of Munanduk against PP, whereby the court held that his plea was accepted by the Honorable Magistrate because he pleaded guilty to a charge of bicycle theft in this instance. So the second one is theft must be involved with movable property. So this can be referred to section 22 Penal Code and section 378 of the Penal Code. So this can be referred and can be seen in the case of Cekman Cekmuk against PP. So the court held that the subject of the theft must be movable property according to section 378. And then the third one is the movable property should be taken out of possession of another person. This can be seen in the case of White against PP, whereby the court held that taking stuff in order to keep the person entitled to possession of them out of possession for a period of time shall be considered as theft also. And then the fourth one is property must be taken without consent of the person. So this can be referred to section 37 of the Penal Code also in explanation 5. So we can be referred to case of Troy Luko Nando Chaudhry. So the court ruled that no theft had occurred in this case because the good had been removed with the master's knowledge and consent. So the last element is there must be a moving of the property in order to affect the taking. So this brings mean that the property must be shifted or repossessed. So the case of Raja Muhammad against R. So the court held that it is sufficient if the person who formed the dishonest intention to transfer the property in order to take it, it is not necessary to transfer it out of the other person possession. So the punishment for theft is we can refer to section 379 of the Penal Code. It stated that the punishment for the theft offence is either maximum 7 years of imprisonment or fine or both, and for a second or subsequent offence shall be punished with imprisonment and fine or whipping. So I pass the floor to our beloved group mate.
Assalamualaikum and good day. My name is Aisha Fika, entry number 2730306, and I will be explaining regarding the opinion on the advantages of theft law. So having the law governing the offence of theft can also be seen as an advantage towards our community. Next, so the first one is to seen as a deterrent measure in preventing future crime, as a reformative measure and also punitive measure. Next, so the first one, the law has imposed punishment. Thus, it can act as a deterrent measure in preventing future crime from being done by society. This can be seen in the case of Polis Diraja Malaysia against Abdul Rahman Muhammad Noor, where in this case, the accused was charged under section 379 of Penal Code for committing theft of 41 iron rods of various sizes without the knowledge and permission of the owner. The court had taken into consideration several factors, such as that it was his first offence and he had pleaded guilty, and he has already married with 2 children. However, in imposing sentence, the court must ensure to uphold the public interest so that appropriate sentence was given. Therefore, the accused is sentenced with 2 months of imprisonment, and the rationale behind that is the court hope that the sentence can be a deterrent measure, although leniency is provided. However, the punishment has the purpose of preventing future crime from being committed. Second, the theft law must be seen as a reformative measure, which means it is to act as rehabilitation in shaping the criminal to live a better life rather than committing crimes. For example, the court in the case of PP against Lim Kok Boon had highlighted that the crime punishment need not only be punitive but must also be a reformative means to the criminal. In this case, the accused was caught in stealing a handbag which contained items worth up to 2,000 ringgit and had pleaded guilty while contended that he has no intention of stealing. Hence, the accused has been sentenced with 20 days of imprisonment, and the court had contended that since the accused had pleaded guilty and he, given his circumstances, we must give a chance for the offender to turn himself from a criminal to an honest living. Thus, this is because harsher punishment will not ensure that the criminal will become removed from his action. Lastly, the law governing theft has provided punishment to act as a punitive measure to ensure that the offender is punished accordingly to the severity of his crime. So this can be shown in the case of PP against K Provenzira Carupia, where the accused was charged for stealing a safe that contains gold. The court then charged the accused with 22 months of imprisonment together with a fine of 4,000 ringgit, and it is the appropriate sentence considering the grave nature of his crime. The court, in passing the sentence, had considered the public's perception of what a reasonable sentence should be given, despite the circumstances of the accused person. Thus, the punishment provided was held to be reasonable, as it is also guided with a chance for the criminal to abstain himself from committing the same crime. Thus, the public interest will also justly served. So therefore, in our humble opinion, we believe that the law of theft is not mainly about ensuring punishment was given, but also have the advantage of giving a room and a chance for criminal to regret and prevent themselves from committing any crime in the future, and also can be used as a preventive measure. So I pass to the next person.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone. My name is Roswada with metric number 272753, and today I'll be presenting on the loophole and limitation of the law on the theft and its enforcement. So one loophole that we can find in the establishment of the element is in regards to the value of the property. There may be a situation whereby the victim blames the accused for committing the act of theft even though the amount of the item is invaluable. Just because he wanted to put him under a difficult situation. If the item is invaluable, it would be unfair to the victim to receive punishment up to 7 years of imprisonment because of this act. Hence, there should be an improvement to the law on the value of property being stolen. Besides, another loophole that we can find in the current law is on the unclear provision on attempt to commit theft. Those who attempt to commit the offence of theft may be convicted under Section 511 of the Penal Code, which lay down punishment toward those who attempt to commit the offence provided in the Penal Code. By referring to the said provision on the attempt to commit theft, we found out that there has not been a clearer or specific provision as to what act should be considered as an attempt. So to compare, we can refer to the case of Tiang Ya against public prosecutor, whereby the accused was caught by the estate management trying to transport the property into his car. Due to this reason, he was charged with an attempt to commit theft. However, the court in his judgment held that there was no attempt of theft because the act was still in the planning stage. The judge further explained that if the estate management had waited until the accused was ready to depart the estate premise, there might have been attempted theft or even theft. The illustration given by the judge on the act of attempted theft here differ with the illustration given under Section 501 of Penal Code, which provide two illustrations that would constitute an attempt to commit an offence, whereby both illustrate that an attempt to commit would rise when the accused stole something and in which later you found out that the property is not in that place. Hence, comparing the judgment in the case of Tiang Yang against public prosecutor and illustration in the Penal Code, it would be confusing to determine what act would actually constitute an attempt to commit an offence. So to discuss further, I will pass on the floor to the next presenter. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day. I bid to everyone. So my name is Nino Amira. My matrix number is 272798. So I will be discussing about the loopholes in the enforcement of law on theft. So as we revising the law of theft, we found that there is a loophole on the question of effectiveness of the current enforcement officer in curbing the theft crimes. As we are now facing the modern era, the law enforcement officers such as the police have faced many new challenge in combating this crime. According to Senior Vice Chairman Malaysian Crime Prevention Foundation, Tan Sri Lee Lam Tai, nowadays the criminal also use the technology to steal. For example, the Macau scams. So based on the collected data from the Department of Statistics Malaysia and Ministry of Home Affairs, it shows that the National Index and Property Crime Rate per 100,000 population shows a decreasing pattern. However, between the years of 2010 and 2017, 42.4% from the total index crime Malaysia happened to be in Kuala Lumpur and Selangor, which we know as the urban city of Malaysia. And the most frequent crimes that were committed based on the descriptive analysis that have been made is the unarmed robbery and the vehicle theft. And there have been some media reports that they face some difficulties in gaining the information about this crime because there is a phenomenon called underreporting where people do not report the crimes they have encountered, and there are large number of cases that were not adding up to the crime official statistic, and this number of cases are called dark figure crime. And Malaysian Chinese daily Nanyang Siampao had conducted a survey where they interviewed the victims of the crime, where approximately 50% only reports the crime they encountered. And the reason people do not report their crimes is do not report the crimes they encountered because they think that they have lost their faith towards the enforcement officer. This happened because they think that police officers do not take their report seriously and then an ineffective investigation and practicing double standards. And not only that, in some residents, the house owner also take the initiative to take care of their own safety and security as they think that the authorities or the enforcement officer do not put sufficient efforts in combating the crimes such as theft and robbery. And moving on, there are many cases in the index crime category have not been open for investigation and have been closed with no further action taken. When there is no sufficient evidence or the suspect cannot be identified or the incident is too trivial and involve minor loss such as the theft, police will take no further action to settle the case. And according to Dr. Amir Khan, study shows that 7% of dark figure crime in Malaysia is car theft, and the theft from a person can be as high as 90% from the index crime category. And in addition, the investigator at Malaysian Human Rights Commission states that there is no check and balance when it comes to the police investigation, as people want a tangible proof of what action they want to take. There will always be a stiff resistance on behalf of the enforcement officer. Therefore, that makes people lose more faith and thinks that theft crimes are a small matter and not worth reporting to the enforcement officer. So I pass the presentation to the next person.
Assalamualaikum and good day to Madam. My name is Raza Atira, metric number 272696. Based on the shortcomings discussed previously, it is undeniable that the law of theft under the Penal Code of Malaysia is in need of immediate improvement or amendment. For instance, there must be better clarification of definition of property under Section 378 of the Penal Code. The lawmakers must include intangible and movable property as property in general so that both can be protected under penal provisions. The lack of recognition of these intangible properties such as online resources have caused them to be put in vulnerable position, which led to various forms of abuses and misuses. Next, there must be clear interpretation between the value of property stolen and its punishment under Section 379 of the Penal Code. This is because, as mentioned under Article 8, Clause 1 of the Federal Constitution, all persons are equal before the law and entitled to equal protection of the law, which guaranteed the right of the offender too. Therefore, the punishment of theft provided under Section 379 must suit to the certain circumstances so that fair and just treatment will be distributed evenly in our criminal justice system. Besides that, there is no clear distinction between attempt of committing theft and the act of theft itself. Therefore, we think that the best solution would be by clarification through additional explanations and illustration under Section 511 of the Penal Code. There must be a broad explanation and illustration covering the elements of attempt in order to distinguish it from the actual offence of theft. Lastly, from the perspective of enforcement of law, we believe that the government must increase the police omnipresence, improve the CCTV facilities at hotspots or other additional measures to undertake the crime of theft. Besides that, responsible enforcement bodies shall increase public confidence in order to protect themselves by installing theft deterrent system in their house to prevent crimes. Involvement from police officers in giving awareness in commercial and residential areas can also be helpful if it is done consistently. We also believe that education also plays an important role in promoting awareness to society. As the offence of theft is usually related to social problems, education will create the opportunities, especially among the youth, to live a better future. This is because the better the education young people receive, the less likely they are to offend. Lastly, to conclude this presentation, it is evident that the theft problem in Malaysia occupied and affected a large space in our legal system. It is worrying that this crime is rapidly increasing and becomes one of the main problems among the Malaysians. As our country is developing, people are living with terror, tension, and pressure due to external factors which led them to commit theft. Therefore, in order to combat this matter, the lawmakers shall identify the reason behind it, whereby there could be the law itself is not effective, or the punishment is not suitable and appropriate, or the implementation of the law is not emphasized enough among our society. That's all from our group. Thank you.